And the reason that we are reading about him, I will share with you here, is because Noodle has some struggles with showing responsibility for his choices. He seems to think that his choices are everybody else's fault. So we're going to talk today about why Noodle needs to show responsibility for his choices. So things don't seem to go his way, and we're going to learn the importance of accepting responsibility. I'm going to send you into breakout rooms today, and I want to give you the question ahead of time so you know what to think about. As we're listening to the first part of the book, I'd like for you to think about this. Is Noodle's behavior his fault? Why do you think that? So Noodle's going to make some behavior choices, and the question is his behavior his fault? And why do you think that? Okay? All right, let's see if I can figure this out. Is it going to switch on me? Hey, look at that. Yay, it's the book, it's the book, it's the book. All right, awesome. So this book, as I've shared, is called But It's Not My Fault. Okay? Question is Noodle's behavior his fault? My name is Norman David Edwards, but everybody calls me Noodle. Sometimes things happen to me that get me into trouble, but it's not my fault. Things just aren't the way they should be. I feel like everybody's always picking on me. I always get blamed and it's not my fault. It seems like I'm the only one that ever gets caught. He did it again. Noodle did it. Quit it. Teacher! Yesterday, I didn't get my math homework done. So this morning, my teacher made me stay in from recess to do it. Rats! But it wasn't my fault. Last night, I had to go to my big brother's basketball game, and it went into overtime. And by the time I finally got home, it was too late to do my homework, so my mom made me go to bed. After recess, we all headed to the library to work on our science reports. Since my teacher wouldn't let me go to recess, I had lots of extra energy. I felt kind of twitchy. On the way down the hall, I jumped up high and tried to touch the light. On the way down, Marigold got in my airspace and hit her head on my arm. Ouch! Teacher, Noodle hit me. But it's not my fault. You didn't let me go out to recess and my legs just needed to jump. It wasn't my fault my arm did it, and it was just a little bump. I got sent to the end of the line. Rats. Then, when I got to library, I couldn't work on my report on the duck-billed platypus because the media specialist wouldn't let me check out the book I needed. Noodle, you can't check out a new book until you bring your overdue book back. But it's not my fault. I looked in my book bag this morning when I got to school. My mom didn't remind me to put it in there. So please, can you bend the rules? Nope. Rats. In PE, Ross Gray tripped me on purpose and then laughed at me when I fell down. So I pushed him over. Teacher, Noodle pushed me. But it's not my fault. Ross Gray tripped me on purpose, and that made me feel really bad. Then he laughed when I fell, which made me really mad. My hands were so mad that they pushed him, even though my brain told them not to. Things just aren't the way they should be. I feel like everybody's always picking on me. I always get blamed, and it's not my fault. It seems like I'm the only one who ever gets caught. Noodle, please stop talking. But it's not my fault. Georgie talked to me first. Noodle, please stop lollygagging. But it's not my fault. I was born this way. Besides, the pencil sharpener needed to be emptied. Noodle, you just interrupted again. But it's not my fault. My mouth is addicted to talking. Noodle, we don't stick our tongue out at other kids. But it's not my fault. TJ did it to me first and then stared at me, so I had to do it back to him. Besides, it doesn't say we can't do that in the school handbook. All right, lots of choices that he has made. I'm going to ask you that question one more time. Is Noodle's behavior his fault? Why do you think that? So in your breakout room, you will answer, I think Noodle's behavior is or is not his fault because, and then explain. So is Noodle's behavior his fault? And you are going to explain, why or why not. Copy that so I can put it into the chat for you. All right. Your breakout room invites are coming. All right, welcome back. Okay, the question you were discussing is, are Noodle's choices his fault? He keeps saying they're not my fault. What are your thoughts? Are they his fault? Let's hear from Josiah. What do you think? Are Noodle's choices his fault or not? Why do you think they're his fault?
I think it's his fault because even though people do that stuff to you, you don't have to copy them.
Okay, so there were some times that he blamed it on other people, but he didn't have to make that same choice. Thank you for sharing. Let's hear from Genova. What do you think? Are Noodle's choices his fault?
I think they are his fault because even if other people are doing stuff that makes him want to stick his tongue out and do all that stuff, it's his body and he can control it and decide what he wants to do.
Okay, so you're thinking he has self-control and he should be using it. All right, let's go ahead and go back to our book. The next question that you are going to discuss is not right there. Thought I had it open. Right there. What does it mean to be responsible for the choices you make? What does it mean to be responsible for the choices you make? Being responsible for your choices means, and you'll fill that in. So as we read, what does it mean to be responsible for the choices you make? Here we go. Just as my teacher was about to say noodle for the 50,000th time, the bell rang. Woo! Noodle, my teacher said. Please stay after for a minute so we can have a talk. Rats! Noodle, today you had a really tough day. But it's not my fault. Noodle, there were no buts in my sentence. Today you had a really rough day and tomorrow is a brand new day. I can't wait to see what you do with your tomorrow. Have a safe walk home. When I walked into my house, my mom gave me the unibrow. I could tell just by the way she looked at me that I was in trouble. Rats! Noodle, your teacher emailed me and told me that today at school you had a really rough day. But it's not my fault. I didn't get my homework done because the game went late and you made me go to bed. My teacher wouldn't let me go out to recess and my legs needed to jump. Marigold got in my airspace and her head hit my arm. I couldn't do my report on the duck-billed platypus because the media specialist wouldn't let me check out the book I needed because you forgot to remind me to put it in my overdue book in my backpack this morning. Ross Gray tripped me and laughed when I fell down, and that made my hands mad. Georgie talked to me first. The pencil sharpener needed to be emptied. My mouth is addicted to talking. And it doesn't say in the school handbook that I can't stick my tongue out at people. Besides, I had to. TJ was staring at me, and he did it to me first. Things just aren't the way they should be. I feel like everybody's always picking on me. I always get blamed and it's not my fault. I feel like I'm the only one who ever gets caught. Poor me. Noodle, I'm not talking about whose fault it is. I'm talking about whose responsibility it is, Mom said. Huh? You are responsible for the things that you do, for your choices at home and your choices at school. Blaming others is a reason, but it's not an excuse. If you keep playing this game, you surely will lose. You are in charge of letting me know when you have homework. You are in charge of returning your library books. And you are in charge of your legs, your arms, your hands, your voice, and your tongue. Today, you made a few mistakes, and it caused your day to be rough. But don't blame others for your poor choices, because that will make your life tough. Instead, focus on what needs to be done. Whenever you make a mistake, own up and become more responsible for the choices that you've made. All right, I'm going to share that question with you one more time. What does it mean to be responsible for the choices you make? Being responsible for your choices means you are going to have this conversation in your breakout room. What does it mean to be responsible for your choices? Okay, all right, here you go.
Oh, to be responsible after some, don't blame other people for what you didn't do, what you're supposed to do it.
Thank you. So not blaming other people for things that you're supposed to do yourself. All right, thank you for sharing. Angel, let's hear from you. What does it mean to be responsible for your choices?
It means to take care of your own stuff and do it yourself.
I like the way that you said that, to take care of your own self, to own your own choices and be responsible. Thank you. I appreciate that, Angel. All right, let's finish up here. The last question, and I won't send you to breakout rooms because it seems like they're being a little funky. So let's look at the last question together and we'll talk about it in this room. What is one way you will show responsibility for your choices during your virtual school experience? You'll answer this by saying, I will show responsibility for my choices during virtual learning by. So what's one way that you're going to show responsibility during this experience? Okay, all right, here we go. Noodle, everybody makes mistakes, and mistakes can be a good thing. But every time you make one, it gives you a chance to learn something, Mom said. If you blame other people for your mistakes, you give away your chances to learn. Don't make an excuse when you do something wrong. Just own it and say, yep, I did that. Now what can I do to improve my situation? Noodle, I love you with all my heart, and I wish I could solve all your problems for you, but I can't. My job is to teach you to become your own problem solver. The next time you make a mistake on the inside, think, yep, that was me. It's going to be hard, but like everyone says, the good stuff in life isn't free. If you're brave enough to own your mistakes, imagine how great you'll become. You'll learn a lot, you'll make better choices, and your life will be so much more fun. Don't be a blamer. You're better than that. Use your mistakes to help you grow. Get rid of the phrase, but it's not my fault, and show the world just how much you know. Maybe my mom was right. Maybe I was blaming others for my mistakes. Yup, I guess I did make a few wrong choices today. As soon as I got to school the next day, I returned to the library and turned in my overdue book and checked out the book I needed for my report on the duck-billed platypus. When I walked into my classroom, my teacher put her arm around me and whispered, Noodle, yesterday you had a really rough day, and today is a brand new day. I can't wait to see what you can do with your today. Then she said, Class, it's time for me to collect the rough drafts of your science paper. When she got to my desk, I said, I don't have it done, but it's gonna be done by tomorrow morning. I just checked out the book that I needed. Way to go, Noodle! You did it! You took responsibility for your actions. I'm so proud of how brave you are. As a reward, I'm going to give you an extra day to get your rough draft done. When you hand it in tomorrow, it won't be counted late. But my brother has another basketball game tonight, and I guess I won't be going. Rats. The end. All right, I'm going to send that question to you in the chat that I'd like for us to discuss. We'll discuss it here since our breakout rooms seem to be acting a little bit funky. There we go. All right. What is one way you will show responsibility for your choices during your virtual school experience? So what is one way you will show responsibility for your choices during your virtual school experience? Think about that right now. There's a lot of ways that I can think about showing responsibility, especially when I think about the work time, right? When we're not right on Zoom. Josh, what do you have to add?
Stay still and don't move around.
And how does that show responsibility?
Because you're always focused and you're not moving around and being crazy.
Okay, so making sure that you have body control. Yeah, because if we're just moving around absolutely everywhere, we're going to be acting pretty crazy and missing a lot of learning. Very good, thank you. I need to, sorry, put my phone on silent there. All right, let's hear from someone else. What does it mean to show responsibility when the teacher, during your virtual learning experience? What about all these assignments that you guys are doing when you're not on Zoom? How can you show responsibility then? Aiden G?
By doing the assignments and not playing games.
Okay, so making sure that you're staying focused because you do have a lot of freedom. There's not a teacher sitting right there to make sure you're on task, and you've got to make sure that you're doing what's expected so that you don't get behind. Very good, thank you. Angel, I see your hand. Something else to add?
To remember, when is your Zoom?
Yeah, so remembering those times, right? You don't have a teacher saying, okay, go log in for math. You've got to use that responsibility to keep track of that. Awesome, thank you, sir. Let's take one more idea. What does it mean to show responsibility during virtual learning? How can you do that? Terrence?
To watch the thing and pay attention.
Yeah, paying attention. It's really easy to just think it's a screen and like zone out or take a nap or talk to somebody else. It's really easy to do that, but showing responsibility would mean being attentive. Very good. Thank you, Terrence.